Hey, welcome back to Rotor Ramble. It's been a while. This is our kind of a new thing we're trying. We're going live today. I'm Danny Engesser, and this
I'm
is
I'm Kevin Barber. Welcome to the live show.
yes. We're probably gonna fumble a lot through this, but we're giving this a shot. So
Oh,
bear
it's
with us, all two viewers. Oh, we're up to four viewers. Hey, look
hey,
at
all
that.
right, welcome.
I
We
see Ryan Dukers on there.
Hey,
What's up?
Duker. All right.
I'll some call outs, shout outs when you appear if we can. Know a few
Yeah.
of you out there that are wanting to watch. Yeah. So, uh, what's new with you, Kevin?
Oh,
You
I've
besides,
fallen in love with tiny whoops. I've got my
yeah,
I've got one of my tiny whoops right here. This is uh my little Air 65 65 inch or 65 millimeter uh tiny whoop, and then I've got a couple others. I've got a 75. So I've been having a lot of fun flying those around. Uh, it's too cold outside to really fly, so I've been flying those around the house and keeping my FPV skills up.
you just got into that what a month ago or so.
Yeah, it's been about a month or so that I got into it. I've already spent all my money on all my allowance, I should say, on tiny whoops. So waiting to get more allowance.
I see Joe Brinks is now in the chat.
Joe,
7130.
welcome. Happy New Year.
New Year, guys. Um, yeah, I haven't gotten into tiny whoops yet. I have
You
some
will.
tiny
I'm,
drones,
I'm
but
dragging you into them.
yes,
I'm trying to
I
drag
got you
everyone in.
into. I got brought you into FPV, and then you're pulling me into tiny whoops. We'll see.
Yeah, I was
So
a
how many?
little,
How
I was a
many?
little,
Go ahead.
I was a little afraid of all of mine are analog right now. I was a little bit afraid of analog. Just didn't really want to mess with it. But it's one of those things where it's been a lot more fun than I expected. And so even though it's not great video quality, it's still been fun to fly.
And so what goggles and did you go with and controller and things like that?
Yeah, so I've got the Fat Shark. I might as well do a show and tell. I've got the Fat Shark analog goggles. So I got this kind of as a um I got this as a kit, or as a, pre-owned thing. And then I've got the this is the Radio Master Pocket ELRS radio. So
Those have been working pretty good.
it has. Yeah. Little bit of a learning curve when I first started, trying to figure out just the differences and binding them and what everything did. But between the community with Tiny Whoops and, of course, Joshua Bardwell videos, it's been doable.
You've been learning a few things today.
I've been learning a few things today. Yeah, and I've also been having to figure out soldering, because as I crash these, especially the couple used ones I had, I don't know if I don't know if they are home built or if they're just old, but those things have been not lasting as well as I would hope. So I've been soldering some motors, some cameras, the VTX, the video transmitter, all that stuff. So it's been kind of a, what do they say, build crash fix, and
Repeat.
yeah, repeat. And
Forget
so
that.
so it's mostly been the crash fix repeat thing.
I've seen some of your videos you sent me from the FPV perspective, but I don't think I've actually sat with you since you've been flying them. But I have to do that sometime.
Yeah,
It's
definitely
cool.
need
You've
to
been
do
flying
a
through
show and tell.
chairs and in your house, and it's pretty. It's fun to watch.
Anything I can use it as an obstacle. Yeah, there's some of those kitchen stools that I've got, and it's just basically about a 1 foot by 1 foot opening, and I'm like, I actually flew through that accidentally one time, and I'm like, Oh, wow, that was cool. I wonder if I can actually do that on purpose. And after about 4 or 5 attempts, yeah, I was able to fly through that.
And Ryan's saying that got to fly around his family business with his tiny whoops, tiny
Yeah,
whoop.
shout out to Extra Innings in Urbandale. It's a Ryan's family has a batting cage business and kind of a training, um, uh, baseball training. They also have a golf simulator there. So I was doing some flying around there for fun. I actually need to see if I've got um, the footage somewhere. I was actually Ryan and I were um, having a pitching machine, and I was chasing the balls coming out of the pitching machine. So
Oh,
that
fun.
was fun to try. Yeah, it was kind of like, well, I guess I can always fix the drone if I break it.
Were the drones hurt in that exercise?
Yeah, no drones
Oh,
were hurt. Yeah, they might have gotten a bump or so, but yeah, they were
cool.
fine.
Very cool. I've been I'm gonna jump back to Joe Brink. So he's been doing kind of a cool thing. He's got a business for drone business, and he does a thing. I think it's called Wear It Wednesdays or something.
Yeah,
Have you seen that? Where he
I
cross
have.
promotes businesses he's worked for, and I don't know. It's kind of a cool little thing that I don't think I've ever seen done anywhere else, but it's cool.
Yeah, so Ryan, you need to get a shirt or a hat to Joe so that he can wear it
Yeah.
on a Wednesday.
Where's our we're Rotor Ramble shirts? We got to get those, right?
Yeah, we should. We need a merch store going.
Stand by, coming soon.
Yeah, right.
Um, well, I know we put out kind of this is we didn't give a lot of notice of this live stream. It's our I mean we this is our what seventh episode if you and eighth if you count the pilot.
Over two
But it's our first
years.
live. Yeah, we've kind of taken a hiatus. It's no other reason than just busy lives, I guess. The what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So, but it's our first live stream. We've done a kind of a Skype call before with who was it? We're talking about. I don't even remember what I was talking about.
We I think we had Bridger on, right, for
Oh,
the
that's right.
for some of
Yeah,
the Iowa legislation.
but that was still pre-recorded, and so this is our first true live one. So, like I said, bear with us. Hopefully, our audio sounds okay. We're not too loud, too soft, but let us know in the chat if you guys notice any issues with the stream. We'd appreciate it. But we put out some kind of topics that we were maybe going to talk about today. Well, we're going to probably try to keep this to an hour. Just see how it goes, and then next time who knows what we'll do. But um, and we also invited other you guys to bring your own topics. So feel free to participate in what we're talking about. I think the delay here is about 16 seconds from what we say to what you guys see. So bear with us as far as not seeing something right away or responding right away. There's that delay in the stream. Uh, but yeah, and if you guys have topics you want us to or questions, speak up and we'll try to address those as well. Yeah. So I don't know. We can. Is there anything you want to? We kind of talked about tiny whoops. I can do stick on that some more, or if there's more you want to talk about there. Um,
Yeah.
I'm I've been having fun following your adventures. Uh, I mean, you've gotten several now. You didn't just get one. You have like a fleet now of
I'm
tiny
up to
whoops, which is
six.
impressive.
I'm up to six,
Wow.
and I currently have a shopping cart ready to hit the buy button as soon as I don't know. I probably need a drink and just do it. But actually, I was
Just
going to hit the
great
purchase
shopping.
button last night, but the coupon code that they gave me it had expired. But I was going to get the Pavo. I don't know if you've seen the Pavo
Sounds familiar. Yeah, I think I have.
Pavo
But if you
Femto.
can bring it up if you want on the
I,
screen.
w- I was just looking for it to bring it up. So here's
Hey.
the Pavo
Oh
Femto
yes.
has the DJI O4 unit, and
This is very attractive. This is the one I saw in drone camps channel.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of them. I was kind of surprised. They've got a so this is a I don't know if it says the weight on here. I think I think the whole thing is under 100 grams. I could be wrong.
This
Yeah,
is you better said it. The DJI
54.
Light.
This is the DJI O4 air unit, which is the light version, but they don't call it the light version. They just call it the O4 unit.
Okay, and then there's the Pro, which is
And the Pro
heavier,
is more like the
more.
O3 air unit. Yeah. And so for those that aren't in FPV, this is the video transmitter that goes from what you're seeing, well, the camera on the drone to the goggles that you're flying through. The DJI system can also do the controls for the drone on there, but a lot of people use a separate controller, separate protocol to send the radio signals into the drone.
And this is kind of an attractive one for me because I think one thing that's kept me out of tiny whoops is the analog. I've never flown analog. Maybe I should call me legit. I don't know.
I've got 6 of them you can try.
Yeah. But I do like the form factor of this one and that it's digital. And I tend to trust the review that I see from the guy on Drone Camps. And he was kind of raving about it, but I forget if it was a paid promotion or not. But
yeah, so this one's definitely if all you need is a little if you want to fly it over people for commercial purposes, all you really need is a little remote ID module for it, and it'd be perfectly legal to fly over people. Onboard recording and 4K 60. Okay.
We know who Off Axis is in the chat. Do we know?
No.
They're like analog is the goat. Yeah.
Hey,
I know.
Welcome Off Axis.
Yeah, I've been playing digital FPV since 2021, I guess. Not as consistently as you, but I got you into it.
You got me into it, yeah. So I'm gonna try to drag you into the tiny whoop.
Yeah.
Could be yours. I mean, the price of these is kind of crazy because it's $100 for the air unit itself, and you're really only paying about $100 for the drone.
Yeah.
They also have
very price.
And then the Air series, they also pop up here. There it is. Boom. Not the Air series, the Meteor series. Okay. There's an even lighter drone, 75 millimeter. And that one also has the O4 air unit on. So it's basically it's very similar to this one. It's the same size and pretty much the same build, just I believe it's mainly just a different canopy on there.
Okay. Thanks, Off Axis. He says he's sharing us out.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
Appreciate it. Get those numbers up. We actually have 6 people watching right now. It's 6 more than I thought.
You're gonna make me nervous.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I kind of hope, just for compliance, it'd be nice if they start building in the remote ID stuff to FPV stuff as well, so we don't have to keep attaching things. Amazon recently had a sale on the remote ID units, and I've been holding off because I have so many drones to retrofit. But so I bought. I think this is the same one you've got, the same brand.
Yeah, it's very similar to the one I have.
Ruco.
I think it is. Ruco. I think there's some generic. I think there's just generic kind of white label parts going on that people are just selling on Amazon. So kind of nice to see. I mean, I didn't really believe that we'd get to see them for under, $100, let alone what did we get them for, like $30 bucks?
I think under 30 is what I paid for these. I mean, I couldn't resist the deal. My first one that I got was custom made from our buddy
Yeah.
Ken, the Phoenix, and he made me a kind of a custom unit. Um, the remote ID module is probably a third the size of this box, but there's also a battery in here. There's a switch on the side, and I could his like I said, his actual remote ID part is probably half the size of this box, but he kind of made me a custom box that I could on my FPV. Um, so I do want to thank him for that. He gave me a good deal on that one.
Yeah.
Well, let's
Ken's done
looking at
some
the chat
impressive
again.
work. I think we've talked about his module before, and
Joe's talking about the Neo too, and I have been curious about the Neo. Much different flying than the Mavics. Yeah, worth it. But yeah, yeah, that's a pretty good price drone. The Neo, I think it's what $200-$300.
yeah, I think 200 if you have a controller already, and if you want to fly it through FPV, you can use the goggles. So yeah,
good entry level.
it's kind of an entry level, almost tiny whoop. I've seen it in person. I didn't get to fly it at the time. Just kind of from timing, it was. I think I was invited to be able to fly it, but
Yeah,
so
it's much smaller. Like it has a scale to it that looks larger, I think, on camera. But when I saw it, I think I saw it in Best Buy or something. It was much smaller than I pictured.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. And of course now we've got the DJI Flip.
yeah, we call that the Neo droid or the Dio droid from Star Wars.
Here's the Flip.
Um, that one looks interesting. It's kind of a pulls some different things from different drones. I don't.
You're a lot more
Did you have a
gracious.
mini already?
You're a lot more gracious in your description of it than I gave it. I said it was DJI's ugliest drone
Yeah.
ever, and I stand by that. I think the spokes just make it look really weird. If DJI sent me one, I might be willing to review it and see what I really thought. But go ahead and
Yeah.
change my mind, DJI. I know you're listening.
Well, and I think they're trying to really create something that's, for flight over people is probably their target. Now, I don't think it has remote ID built in. I've heard, I don't have a
Yeah, it doesn't
confirmation of that,
doesn't have remote ID built in. And as Off
but
Axis points out, it does have a much better camera. The Flip has a better camera than the Neo, which I think I was looking at the specs. I was actually going to try to bring this up, and the interesting
yeah.
thing is, for a comparison, uh, they do not even. You can't even add the Neo as a comparison for side by side specs. So I thought that was interesting.
Huh.
As I was gonna try to like compare them side by side in here. So,
Huh.
yeah.
Is there just a
So,
limit to how many you could compare, or is it
well, no,
just not an option?
they've got all the different ones, listed kind of in that consumer range. So that tells me either, I'm curious what DJI's plans are for the Neo. In regards to they've got the Flip, they've got the Neo. They seem to be in very similar spaces. So honestly, I was really surprised to even see the Flip come out as soon as it did. And it seems to be, in my view, it seems to be a very similar market. So I'm curious why, what we're gonna see there. If the Neo's just gonna be a one hit wonder type of thing, or
Hey, we're breaking news to Ryan. He didn't even know there was a Flip. So it, it looks like an interesting one. I don't know. It's not something I need right now, but yeah. Neo
Neo
wasn't really either.
Neo S comes out. Joe says it would be a great upgrade. Is
And
there
a better camera.
is there rumors of a Neo S? I wonder. I haven't heard those. I'm not too much into the rumors. I saw the drawings of this thing, and I'm just like, what is DJI doing? But
Yeah.
yeah, the size. I saw like a Neo stacked on top of the Flip, and it was significantly smaller. So, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm just really really curious what the market, their intended market is for that.
Well, not to get into the rumor mill, but we've seen some
I'll
pretty
bring the
convincing
rumors.
photos of the next Mavic 4 too, which is interesting. You're probably more of a target market for that than I am, but what are your thoughts on what you've seen so far?
I've not seen a whole lot with Mavic 4, so
Okay.
you're
Have you seen the leaked photos?
I have not.
Please.
I should
Oh,
probably
okay.
yeah.
It's I think kind of one of the main physical features about it that's different is that the camera looks like it could point straight up. So
Oh,
it kind
okay.
of has a, reminds me of an an older, is it a Parrot? I forget. There was
Yeah.
from an older drone that did that.
Yeah, I think the parrot, an Anafi parrot, or no,
Yeah,
parrot Anafi.
yeah. Kind of reminds me of that a little bit for much
Encyclopedia
better
of
quality.
drones here. Yeah, no,
Someone's
I like the form factor. I like the idea of that camera gimbling all the way up.
Ryan's asking, can he use his DJI RC2 on other DJI drones? I think I think so. Let's camera gimbal.
Let me Google that for you.
Yeah, Google that. Uh, I think there's quite a bit of flexibility with the RC2, but I don't know which drones it is without looking that up. I've seen some charts that'll have the drones and the controllers.
Yeah, so the RC2 is the newer RC that came with the well, it actually first came with the mini um what was it, the mini 4, mini 3. So it's the one with the screen and the antennas. Um, Ryan might be referring to the DJI RC that just has the screen. That's the one that I have that came with the Pro, the Mavic 3 Pro. So I don't know if that's the same one he's got, but hey, Dan's on here. Dan Gottschalk,
Woo!
welcome.
What's up?
He's saying the camera gimbal on the Mavic 4 leaked photos looks like Earth Vader. Earth. I think he means Darth Vader's head. I need to look for the. I need to look for the leaked photos now.
Yeah, I think I might have sent this to you actually. It was like a kind of a meme photo. It was a leaked photo of the 4 and a hippo, like hippopotamus in the middle of it, kind of the shape of
I
it.
think you did. I just
So,
need to go back and refresh my memory, I guess.
um, so yeah, we'll see how that what when that comes out. It's probably going to be like an April release. If that, I don't know. I'm just throwing that out. I think I saw that somewhere. Um, and probably $10,000. No, I haven't seen a price, but I'm sure they're going to try to creep that price up even more. Um, any
Well,
other like gear you want to talk about? New stuff or leases or things we don't have that we want or
there's always stuff that we don't have that we want, right?
yeah, constantly, unfortunately. I can't think of anything. Oh, I, I think I've mentioned it to you. I've got an old uh, FPV frame that I'd like to upgrade with possibly an O4 unit or O3 unit. Probably get a cheaper O3 unit than an O4, but I've heard great things as far as um, the low latency and distance and reliability of the O4 units. There's a FPV guy I follow. His name's Phantom FPV, and he recently did a test and comparing analog to another platform to I forget what it was now to the new O4, and I think he shocked himself that he was actually um, preferring the O4. So that's I don't know that says something. This guy he's very talented and I think I've talked about him before. Just on another level as far as his skills. Um,
Yeah, I think
let's
if you're wanting to skip the action camera on an FPV drone and and basically record off of what you're seeing in the goggles, then the O4 is a great spot for that, especially the Pro, as I understand it. I think
Yeah.
I think if you are just into flying for fun, I think the O3 would be great. Good time to get them.
Ryan's asking, I think, if we're going to talk about the DJI geofencing update. I mean, we can jump to that if you want.
Yeah, actually,
Um,
that's where I was about
so
to go.
that's a good one.
Yeah. So
It was on the January 13th, I think. DJI released updates for all the to your drone, eventually removing geo restrictions and replacing them, I think, with what they call them enhanced airspaces or something like that, where they're still um, identifying for you some FAA enhanced zone safety zones or whatever the term is they're calling them. You got the article up here, I guess.
yeah,
Um,
looked like my screen was locked for a second, so hopefully it didn't.
I can't hear you, Kevin.
Looked like my screen was locked up for a second.
Can't hear you. I lost you. I don't know about you guys, but I can't hear him.
Yeah.
But I'll keep talking. Hopefully it'll come back. But my perspective on it, I guess, is that I both welcome it, and I mean, as someone who flies professionally from time to time, that can be annoying. I mean, a lot of people will say, well, just plan your flights better, get the unlocks in place. That's great, but sometimes that's not the most convenient thing. And so it has caused headaches for me, and I've heard of people even losing jobs or whatever because they get out in the field and they realize, oh, even though they've gotten FAA authorization through a Lance authorization or a wide area authorization or whatever, they're still stuck with being locked out of that uh, that area with a DJI Geo lock. So I kind of welcome it. I think it's hard to be competitive when other drone companies aren't even enforcing that kind of thing too. And I think it's kind of like driving your car. I mean, your car doesn't stop you from driving certain places, and I really don't think the drone should do that either. I think you need to be educated on that. And I don't know. Are you back with your audio? Evan, can you hear me? Not hearing you.
So yeah, I think Danny,
Oh,
I'm working on some technical issues here. Can you hear me now?
okay. I can. It's kind of that back to that echoey sound, but I
Yeah,
can hear
so
you now.
I had to manually change Skype over to a different microphone.
Okay.
So
Do you want to keep talking, or do you want to talk about that? Your thoughts on
if you want to keep rambling on about that
it?
rotor,
What I do best.
I'm gonna try to swap out a that audio setting for a second and see if I can fix it on the fly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go for it. All
So
you, bud.
okay, you give me the cue when you're ready to say something. Okay. Yeah. So just to ramble on a bit about this, the I think DJI had good intent, and they actually put out a statement about this, and we can maybe link to it in our show page after this. They've got a couple links. One was their initial announcement about it, and then they came out with a follow up article a few days later, kind of addressing misconceptions and um, things that have been reported incorrectly about what they did and why they did it. But I think they were at a place when drones were kind of very new and where they were trying to be very responsible in their product launches, and they kind of feel like the world's at a different place right now with drone technology. So
Yeah,
how's it going, Kevin? You doing okay?
I think you might be able to hear me, and I think I'm still
Yes.
able to talk to our YouTube
Sounds
crowd too.
Yes, sounds better now.
All right. Well, appropriately, we're back, baby.
Woo, we're back, baby. I was
uh,
gonna start out with that and I forgot.
yeah, I totally agree. I think uh, as you were talking about DJI being one of the first on the market and definitely the most consumer oriented drone manufacturer and having I think the restrictions they had in place were good. I honestly I know of people who said, "Hey, DJI app didn't stop me from flying here," and it's like, well, yeah, but it's controlled airspace, so you still need to look at the FAA's app. So from that point of view, I can see that as kind of a good thing the to have the restrictions lifted and go just to um, uh, the FAA's maps. So then it's a little more clear on yeah, that's the actual maps. On the other hand, of course, it doesn't exactly say how to get authorization to fly there legally. So I could see that as a problem for newer flyers that just have their drones and um, don't know how to get the authorization. I don't think there's anything in DJI telling them you have to go get your Lance test done, or not Lance test, the trust test done. And that's kind of where you would explain. Um, I think that explains how to get an authorization. So yeah, I kind of wish there was maybe a compromise, maybe like make it easier for professionals to be able to unlock and just basically a one-time unlock for my drone. Like, yes, I know what this is. I know even for a while they were doing a knowledge test from DJI that you had to
Oh yeah,
pass, um, which was kind of annoying as someone who's has done Part 107 and but
yeah.
um, yeah. So
I only go ahead.
I think they initially led the way with safety, and that was even before the FAA had anything out. So kudos to them for having that safety record. So
If it was easier to do on the remotes, I wouldn't mind so much. But the one time that it hung me up, it was a commercial gig and I was trying to hit like half a dozen locations around the metro by sunset. And it was an afternoon thing and trying to get some of that evening lights a little bit. And right away, the first place I was hit with the geo restricted area, and so I tried to unlock it through the controller, and the interface was such that it wouldn't allow me to do it properly or something like that. Or I tried to do it through my phone, and the interface on the phone was just garbage. I couldn't make it work. Thankfully, I had my laptop back in my car, which was like a 15-minute walk back to the car. So I walked back to the car. I connected that to my hotspot on my phone, and I was able to go through the web page to do the unlock. And it happened pretty quick. And but it added probably a 45-minute delay to my flights. I still got the flights done, but yeah, a real annoyance, especially in a commercial setting. So yeah, I don't know if there's anything more to say about that, but it's fascinating. I think they're also trying to appeal to. There's a lot of competition right now, especially with the U.S. government
yeah,
agencies. There's been, you know, mandates to not use DJI or Chinese drones um, in federal agencies and things like that. And so I'm sure they're trying to be as attractive to commercial companies as possible, or
yeah,
governments, or whoever.
yeah. And Dan saying on the chat, rumor mill has DJI has it that DJI has been thinking about this for a while. The LA fires pushed it um, over a point of confusion with the
Mhm.
geofencing would prevent flying into TFR. So that's interesting too. Um, you know, I guess a good consequence of a horrible situation if that's in fact true. But um, yeah, I think. Uh, the issue I could see with that is TFRs being temporary in nature. I don't know if they'll show up on the apps. Especially the TFRs that happen quickly and briefly. So yeah, that would be an interesting. I could see that as being a problem as well. Like maybe they need to say more instruction on how to actually get authorization and how to check for TFRs. So yeah, that's kind of an interesting problem to have to solve there.
And that might be a transition into the topic of the California wildfires. There's been a lot of in the news. There was a lot of stories about people who were flying drones to get shots for their social media or whatever of the fires, but that was hampering efforts by emergency flights, whether it's helicopters or airplanes. And it got so bad that actually a plane was hit, or the plane hit the drone, or the drone hit the plane, however you want to say it. And it appears that Kevin's got a picture of it there. This is the type of airplane that can scoop across the surface of a lake or body of water to get water in the plane and then dump it on the fire. But it hit the wing, and just like from what I'm hearing, it was kind of one of those 1 in a million shots of where it hit as far as the damage it caused. If it had been a couple of inches either way, it would have bounced off based on the airframe, as what I'm been hearing. I don't know enough about it to know myself, but that's something I heard somewhere.
Yeah,
But from what I understand, it was a Mavic Mini 3 or Mini 3,
Mini.
and
I thought it
they
said.
found it,
I thought I saw it in one of them. It's a Mini. Um,
and it was found embedded in the wing of the plane. So it's not like they had to go find the drone on the ground afterwards. It sounds like the evidence was right there. So um,
yeah. Now
that's
being the Mini under 250 grams, potentially not needing to be registered, and not necessarily needing remote ID unless, of course, it's a Part 107 operation. Um, so yeah, that's a little tougher there. And it's surprising it did that much damage from a Mini. But you think of just
it's
anything at that speed. Uh,
I think the skins on those wings are just a thickness of a few cans of pop. I mean, I don't think it's very much aluminum there. But yeah, it is. When you think about how light, you can barely feel a mini in your hand when you hold it. It's
yeah,
so light, and to think that it did that kind of damage is shocking. But um, I, I believe it from other things I know about impacts and things like that.
yeah. Well,
Um,
I think there was another article that I saw said something about having what who was it? One of the celebrities at their house. They were
oh, Ben Affleck.
it was Ben Affleck. Yeah. Um,
I don't know the full story there. I just know that they had officials hanging out around his house, asking him questions about things related to the fires. Some people said it was drone specific.
was it?
Others just say he happens to be on the corner where they're monitoring looters and stuff. So
Are we going to
I don't know
officially
what's going
start
on
the
there.
rumor that it was Ben Affleck that flew the drone?
You never know. If he doesn't have a drone, I would be shocked. Frankly, he seems like definitely the kind of guy that would have a drone. But I don't want to put anything on him if that wasn't him.
you,
Yeah,
you,
I don't.
you don't want to
You would
start
think it
those
would not be
rumors?
too
Okay.
hard to find. No, I'm not creating a feud with Ben Affleck. Sorry.
But if he wants to come on the show and debate us about it, come on
Yeah,
up.
we'll have him as a guest. I'll
There we
talk
go.
all about it.
Go.
Uh, yeah, it's seems like it should not be that hard to get back to the owner of that drone, but like you said, though,
Yeah.
it's not required that one had remote ID because
Right.
of its weight class, unless it was commercially flown. But even if it was commercially flown, if you were to attach a remote ID module to that, granted, it's probably going to go flying off in that impact.
Yeah. Yeah.
Little
And
Velcro, I don't think it's going to keep it on there.
and remote ID being broadcast only, there's the signal goes into the ether, and if it's gone, it's gone. You don't really get that that history of it, which is someone who flies as somebody who follows the rules and flies legally. I guess it doesn't matter to me too much either way. I like that.
Well, if they go ahead, sorry.
I like that it's not a network requirement like they originally wanted to do for remote ID, but yeah, trying to investigate. Yeah.
You said no history, but technically, if agencies had remote ID systems out there to detect remote ID modules, they can actually record that history on their devices.
Yeah.
So, but it's no onboard recording of that.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, even the consumer scanner apps that you have, you can keep the recording of what showed up.
And for those that don't know, that most of you guys are drone people here, but there's an app called Drone Scanner is one that I've used, and I don't know, Kevin, you've got others to recommend, but that mine's iOS, and I'm hearing that it doesn't work in all situations, but is that one example of an app that can detect remote ID signals? Now, it's as far as Bluetooth can take it, but it does work.
Yeah.
I've gotten like both this one and this one show up on Drone Scanner, so did you know that?
Yeah, the DJI's as far as Apple technology, as far as Apple phones, I know the DJI's don't show up on there, but I think it's just the type of the Wi-Fi version that they're using, or the Wi-Fi signal that they're pushing out. Show up.
And that's one of those apps where, I mean, between that app and Radar 24, is that the name of it? The
Flight Radar 24.
Jumping into Jersey drones, is that still a thing?
Yeah.
What's your whole take on the whole Jersey drone thing? Do you have an opinion on all that?
I was out last night looking at the stars, and I saw a drone just hovering there on the horizon, above the horizon, and stayed there for hours. It was a bright light, no flashing. I think it was called Mercury, maybe Venus.
Definitely a drone.
No, I've had a few people ask, my thoughts, and being the official drone guy for a lot of people, they want to know what I think, and I think most of the drone sightings from New Jersey, most of the photos and videos that I've seen make it look just like an airplane. So I think a lot of them were airplanes, and I think some people were just for the first time in a long time looking at the night sky, and maybe it's a clearer, less humid night. They see more of the stars out there, and see Venus.
Too many people doing this,
yeah.
Walking around at night instead of this, and it's like, wow. Yeah, I think it's a combination of things for sure. I think that probably were a few sightings initially that, it might have been a drone, might not have been. I know it was near a military base out there too. After it became a story, of course, everyone and their mother is shooting up a drone to see if they can see the drones, and then it just compounds itself, and sure, before you know it, you've got hundreds of drones up there.
And copycats, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Joe's saying that too. Most photos shown were manned aircraft, and I couldn't agree more. Everything I was seeing was
shoot those down.
Obviously,
do not shoot those down.
Yeah, and it was obvious. Like, I was embarrassed for the mass media for reporting, for blatantly showing in a split screen. Over here is a video of an airplane and in the same breath talking about a drone, and uh, it was I was embarrassed for the reporting that happened.
Yeah.
There was a company that I forget what it's called now, like New Jersey Drones or something like that. A company I started following out there that had all the equipment to track this kind of stuff too, and they were putting their people out there and doing their deal, and they had communications with law enforcement. You know, they do work for them as well, and um, so it was good to get firsthand opinions on what's happening out there as well. But it just blew up into. Now I'm going to be the first person to say it's an alien. There's a spaceship before it's a drone. um, and it's just that every light in the sky now is the new drone, which is weird to
Well,
me.
and you know, they can look um they can look different. I mean, you see an airplane flying one direction, and it looks differently than if it's coming towards you or if it's going away from you. So it can be deceptive, and if you've been hearing about this and you're out looking for stuff, um, I was out the other night, and I knew it was an airplane, but um, the direction it was going, you saw four lights. You saw the front and back lights. You saw the ones on the wings. Just the way it was going and the path that it was going, it looked like it was going sideways to where I was, and it looked like a square, not an airplane shape. So I mean, I could kind of see where some of the confusion would be, and then I thought to myself, well, that could look like an SUV sized drone, if you don't know that it's an airplane.
Well, and I had for those that don't know, we were talking about historical data. That Flight 24 rate, um,
Flight
Flight Radar
Radar
24
24. Yep.
app does have historical data on it, and I actually utilized that one night because I was driving home from work one night and I saw something in the sky that was unusual as far as manned airplane lighting, and so I went back. You know, once I was home, I didn't think about it until hours later, and then I went back in the historical data, and I was able to see, yep, sure enough, there was a manned airplane or crewed airplane, however you want to say it, going over that exact area at the time. So um, use that as another tool for everyone out there, or if you have friends and neighbors or coworkers asking, you know, how can I know? Well, you can use this app and actually go back to that time and look. Um, so that was helpful for me as well.
Yeah, and I've got, just for an example, I've got the app up here and web web view of it up, and I'm not logged in right now, but I do have the gold account that lets me go at any point in time and view. I can look at all the aircraft from yesterday, and I'm just enough of a nerd to really enjoy doing it. I get my money's worth out of it, sadly.
um, so it seems like those have disappeared or the reporting has gone down about that. But I just thought that the news agencies were doing their themselves a disservice too because they weren't fact checking what people were saying. There'd be
Credibility
um,
was lacking.
politicians out ranting at microphones about you can't fly at night, you can't fly over congested areas, you can't fly over roads, things like that were completely untrue.
Yeah.
And um, the fact that the news agencies would report it without cross checking that or fact checking that or explaining no that these are actuals is doing themselves a disservice because those news agencies fly drones themselves to cover stories. So
Yeah.
um, it's to try to villainize anyone flying a drone that was based on rhetoric from a politician saying, "What are they doing here? They can't fly there, or can't fly at night." It was just so cringeworthy for me when I watched that. It was very frustrating.
Yeah, and it's I think for both of us, we agree that on that the fear for us is not that there's drones out there. The fear for us is that overreaction to it will cause overregulation of drones, which affects what we do, what we enjoy doing. Both a hobby as or as a profession. That's kind of the fear out there. We've already seen, the DJI ban, fortunately that hasn't gone through. Latest I've heard on the DJI ban was that it's only going to be for the government right now, and probably government contractors. So I feel like we've kind of dodged a bullet with some of that legislation right now. I'm hoping it stays that way. But man, with all these recent incidents that we've had, both incidents and non-incidents that we've had, it's really kind of making me nervous about what could be next for legislation. And they're maybe
Yeah,
banning
and even
TikTok. Maybe this is just the next step.
exactly, and even some of those agencies were still saying, try my DJI drones on my cold dead hands, because these drones save lives. And when they're putting their coworker, if it's like law enforcement, they're going in for a mission or something, they want something that's going to be reliable and not put their agents at risk, and also use things to save lives, the general public. So when you can't rely on the product like you can with DJI, that's frustrating to a lot of people who are accustomed to a certain level of reliability. And
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. So hopefully the fear mongering settles down a bit. We can have someone, I don't know, as quickly as TikTok got cleaned up. Hopefully, any drone bans would get cleaned up. We can't be so lucky, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, let's see here.
Well,
Any go ahead.
and kind of on the heels of that, this was just something I noticed literally as I was shopping for a air unit drone. um, I went onto Rotor Riot, and they actually have now a made in the USA flight controller and a made in the USA ESC. So, um, while I still think it's a good valid argument that how if you're going to ban DJI drones, I mean, or Chinese made drone parts as they're going for, and my argument's always been, well, what else are we going to have? And it looks like there might be some competition coming up potentially. Seeing flight controllers, ESCs, which are for those that don't get into FPV, the ESC is what controls the motors. Flight controller is what controls um, the overall mechanics of the rest of the drone. But Unusual Machines is the parent company, as I understand, and now owns Rotor Riot, which is a pretty popular drone, uh, mainly FPV parts store. Um, but They have released a made in the USA flight controller, and I'm personally really happy to see the competition out there. Now, granted, flight controllers weren't DJI has their own flight controllers, so I don't think this is really going up against DJI directly. But it's interesting to see that there are some alternatives coming out um, in the space, and from the looks of it, they don't look outrageously priced. So I'd be kind of curious how. I mean, surely the chips are all coming from China, I would imagine. Um, they must just be assembling them in the U.S., I assume. Probably how they get
Mhm.
the made in the USA. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I know
I'm all for more competition for sure and more
absolutely.
options.
Yeah, and I know this was
Um,
kind of a late breaking story for you, Danny. I know you didn't get too much time to research it. I don't know too much about him other than I just happen to notice him shopping. So
yeah,
interesting, noteworthy, noteworthy topic there.
yeah, yeah. If you guys ever have um, more gear you guys want to talk about, let us know in the chat. I'm sure we'll be doing this live again. I think it's been going pretty well so far. Um, Good to see everyone's staying respectable in the chat. I know we can trust you guys.
Yeah, we've
I don't
got
want to have
got
to moderate.
good people around us.
Um, yeah, we're thankful for that. Other things, I don't know if you had any projects you want to talk about. I did kind of a cool one. I think we've had such a gap since we did
Yeah.
the show last. The one that I was kind of excited about was last fall. I went out with this was for where I work at Iowa PBS, and we did around October we did a series of things, kind of like ghost stories in Iowa type things. And one that I got to work on was uh, in Van Meter. There's a story about the Van Meter visitor, and it's kind of we can post a link to this video, but they originally they just wanted some shots. The backstory real quick is a Van Meter visitor. It's kind of like a winged creature that's a legend from that emerged from a coal mine or something back in long time ago, and so they wanted some aerial shots of the town, and then I also offered FPV. I said, hey, we could create the perspective of this flying creature over the downtown area of Van Meter, Iowa, which is a very small town. Like the downtown is like a block each way. And so they were like, yeah, let's do that. It'd be cool. So uh, I got to, I'd love to be able, I might ask to permission to post the full video, but I got to, do some dipping and diving around the downtown area. And it's so dead there as far as there's no traffic or anything. So it was an ideal situation and just kind of fun to get that perspective. And, um, it was fun. We set up right across the street from the police department there, and the police officer, he's really cool. He came out and asked what we were doing, and because he was very curious. And but yeah, that was um, fun to just try something different and have that integrated into that storyline. But that video has been up for since October, I think. So
Yeah,
kind of a
I was just trying to pull it
cooler thing.
up and I found it on your feed and then I clicked on it and I clicked on the wrong thing. So yeah, we'll
And it's
have to link to that.
I think I did maybe 2 or 3 flights that were they were all for the FPV ones. Those were the ones I was kind of excited about, and each of those were probably 4 or 5 minutes long. The actual flights recordings, and there was maybe 5 seconds or so used of that in the, the clip, which was overall I think maybe 4 or 5 minutes. So, but yeah, that was a fun little thing. I know you've had. I don't know if you want to talk about any of your commercial work. I know you did something up in Ankeny. You want to talk about the that drive-through place?
Oh yeah, I
Like
kind of
what
forgot
that was
about
kind
that
of
to be honest.
that was some FPV stuff. I think you did other stuff too.
Yeah, so I mean there's not too much to say, but yeah, the hyper energy drink uh it's the kind of the drive-through energy drink. You can kind of get custom energy drinks there. Um delicious if you haven't tried it. I had my first one while I was there flying and it was definitely a delicious thing to try out. But yeah, I did. It was just in the late fall, so as it was getting cold and it happened to be a kind of a windy day, but they were just looking for some footage to go on their social media feed, and so I was able to provide that. And I've done a few other things. Flew through. Uh, I was able to do some fly throughs at some corporate offices I wasn't really expecting to get to fly through, and that was a lot of fun. Pretty nervous for that, but everything worked out quite well. And
Cool.
not a single security guard, walked past plenty of security guards holding my drone, and not a single person even looked at me. Just not even. I shouldn't say looked at me, not even really acknowledged what I was doing. So it was
Yeah.
kind of interesting to have that. So
Cool. You didn't even have a safety vest and a clipboard.
I did not. Nope. Yeah, I was just walking around with my coat on and hey, how's it going? Just flying a drone here.
Cool. Let's see. Have you guys ever done a demo at your kids' schools? Career day at my kids' schools.
Yeah, so Joe's asking about demo days at schools. I have not. That's actually a great idea, especially like getting the tiny whoops out and stuff like that. Um, I have done. I don't think you were. I don't think you were there for that one, Danny. But there was a women in aviation event. That
Oh, I went to
did you go to that one? Okay,
South out like
the South.
out by the airport.
Yeah, yeah. So that was
Yeah, we were both there.
2019, I think. So which is why I'm not, fully remembering everything about it. Um, but yeah, so we did kind of present for that a few years back. That was and it was of course just before COVID locked everything down. So unfortunately, I don't know if they had another one since and where that was, but it was kind of a cool opportunity to get out and meet some people. I think that's actually what put me or us in touch with some of the FAA contacts. I think you had already, Danny, had a contact in the FAA, but were able to.
Yeah, I think my FAA contacts kind of stemmed from this is I think how we met was the International Drone Day events. Does
Yeah.
that sound right?
Yep.
Um, so we were at one point we were trying to time at least a once a year meetup in the area, tied around the International Drone Day, which usually happens around May, I think. We haven't done it for a number of years, but we would always try to bring speakers out, and we'd bring in a representative from the FAA. We've had a couple different people from there speak and hit different topics. This was always a free event, just kind of I think we were making it kind of an afternoon type thing. We might have done it all day one time. I forget.
Yeah.
Um, everything from hit topics, everything from regulations to FPV to simulators to whatever. I don't remember all the documentaries. Um, but yeah, as far as me presenting, I've presented to more an older audience. I guess through my work at Iowa PBS, every year I've gotten to help out with a mentee mentorship program where we have like high school age kids come into Iowa PBS and they sit with different uh, people in different job situations at the station, whether it's video production or social media or drones or directing a show, things like that. And they've always asked me to be the drone presenter. So I spend a couple hours with them. Just the first half will be introducing them to the gear and the regulations and things like that. And then the second part will, if the weather's good, we'll go outside and give them an opportunity to fly. So that's been cool. And I've also through work we've been doing a 4-H boot camp where there are these uh, for report. It's like a reporters boot camp for 4-H people, I believe. And I do a similar thing there where I do the intro, but basically drones 101. It's like this is the drone, this is the regulations, and let's go fly.
Yeah, I think Joe's got an interesting point there too about being able to hit some of the being able to teach some of the regulations on in things like that. And I don't know what the retention rate is on remembering that stuff for the kids, but you
Yeah,
definitely could get out and it's nice to get at least some mention out there. And it's I kind of have mixed feelings about it because it's not like you know I'm not the FAA, but I know that the FAA, for example, does kind of rely on community education, and so
yeah.
we're very
I
much
even spoke.
we're very much affected by You know, again, if somebody doesn't follow the rules, it affects the rest of us when there's more rules put in place. So that's kind of why I get, um, I don't want to say I'm passionate about the rules, but I try to be very much following the rules that are out there and try to encourage others to follow the rules. Um,
Yeah,
I don't want to
I
take
spoke.
away.
The oldest audience I ever spoke to, I think, was an HOA group. This was several years ago. I was asked. I'm trying to think how I got into that, but it was probably a couple dozen. It's mostly senior citizens, I believe, that were there. I think every month they had kind of a person from the community come talk to them about something. And I was asked to come speak. And at that event, I also brought a FAA representative from the local FSDO, Flight Standards District Office, for anyone that doesn't know what that is. And they spoke about the regulations. I kind of showed the gear and talked about techniques and things like that. Yeah, that was a kind of a different experience, but largely positive. I was worried I'd be hit with, you can't fly over my house and all this kind of stuff, and they were actually very respectful, and I was impressed with that. So
a lot of the people I hear about, you can't fly over my house, are like my age. So granted, I'm getting old, getting up there. So
yeah. Do you want to touch on anything else? We're over
we've
that
covered
hour
most of
mark
it.
now.
Yeah, we're kind of hit that hour mark, and I think we've got pretty much most of the topics covered, at least that we were thinking of. So
Very cool. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us. Be sure to subscribe to our channel if you haven't. Like us on Facebook, and we're on Instagram and X and all the places. And we'll be getting an audio podcast of this up on iTunes, and I mean, the podcast is already there, so you can subscribe in iTunes and Spotify. But we'll get today's show up there soon. But thank you all for joining us. Anything else?
no, thanks the guys in the chat. It's been fun.
Yes.
Fun having that interaction. We were a little afraid that nobody would show up, being the first time we've done this. So just thanks for the great feedback, and back in 2025. So I'm glad that doesn't say back in 2026. That might be a little more our pace, but we'll try to get some more going out here. We say this every time.
Yeah, sorry it took so long. It's good to be back, and we're always, what's frustrating is we're always talking about, between the two of us, about drones, and it's just finding the time to sit down and do this, and it's fun when we do it, and nice to try a new method. Hopefully you guys like this platform, and being able to chat with us and getting some feedback, and we'll hopefully do it again sooner than later. If we could do it a couple times a month, I would be stoked. I would love to do that. We'll see what works out.
And if it worked for two of us on here, maybe we can get a guest on here and have some more fun.
Absolutely, that'd be awesome.
All right.
Well, with that, we'll say goodbye. Have a good one, everybody.